Hi, this is Mac, and welcome for another edition of our video mailbox. This week, Paula from Montague County has written into the office saying, "My husband and I have been hearing some distressing information about the federal government seizing land along the river. The seizure would wipe out a whole rural community as well as many who have homes right on the river. Some places have been in the same family for generations. We have several young families and it would be an extreme hardship on them." Paula, thanks for writing. This has been a major concern for folks all through our area, all through Texas, and even around the country. Anytime you start a story that says when Thomas Jefferson made a deal with Napoleon, you know that there is a lot of history and a lot of detail to that story. But that's exactly where this issue started. When Thomas Jefferson agreed with Napoleon to buy the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, it was agreed that the purchase would extend the whole bed of the Red River. And then subsequently there were treaties with Spain, with Mexico, and then the Republic of Texas made a treaty with the United States that it was the south bank of the Red River that was the border of Texas. Now the problem comes into defining exactly where the south bank of the Red River is. And there have been a number of actions by Congress. There have been cases that have gone all the way to the Supreme Court. There have been other regulatory actions that have all tried to narrow down that definition of where the Texas starts and where Oklahoma begins. To make a long story short, a few years ago, Congress approved a compact negotiated by Texas and Oklahoma that says the border is the vegetation line along the southern bank of the Red River. So that's where Texas is. I don't believe the federal government has any business in trying to control or influence any land in Texas, any land south of that vegetation line. So then the question is there a narrow strip somewhere out in the middle of the river that is still under federal control, that may be land that the Bureau of Land Management on behalf of the federal government has some say on? That's what we're discussing now with the Bureau of Land Management. I've introduced a bill that would try to make it absolutely clear that if you can go to the county courthouse and prove that you have deed to land, that you've been paying taxes on it, the federal government has to give you a deed that eliminates any question about who the owner of that land is. Senator Cornyn and co-sponsored by Senator Cruz have introduced identical legislation in the Senate. So I've asked for a hearing. Hopefully we'll have that hearing in a few weeks to look at this issue in the House committee that oversees the Bureau of Land Management. And I'm hopeful we can get some movement on this land. The boundary between Texas and Oklahoma is decided. What we need now is absolute clarity for the property ownership rights for the land that's in Texas. That's what I'm trying to achieve with my legislation. I think that we can find a way to get this resolved, and I want to do so especially for those landowners and for the counties that have to manage whatever happens along that river. So stay tuned. We haven't gotten to the final chapter of this yet. It started in 1803, but maybe we're seeing the conclusion of this story before too long. Thanks again for those emails.